My friends, today we're gonna do something quite different and really interesting. My awesome guitar student community on Patreon have sent in a lot of really killer clips. We're gonna check them out together, but not just for fun. This will be all about closely analyzing the playing, giving as much helpful tips and feedback as I possibly can. And this will also greatly help you, the awesome person that's watching this, with spotting bad guitar technique habits that might be holding you back right now. So there's gonna be tons of value with this video for you. Let's dive in right away. So I just made a post about this on my Patreon page. Let's check out the first contribution by STG. Awesome, so some kind of flamenco style influence. What's really cool right away is that we have 3 video clips, so I expect some awesome harmonization going on here. Here's the harmony, nice. Awesome, well, thank you for recording this, that was really cool. I really like the combination of the clean tone and the distorted tone right here. Fingerstyle strumming, but we also got some alternate picking stuff and cool phrases in there. One thing that I can see right here is when you look at the 2 lead tracks and you look at the fretting hand thumb placement for both of them, the thumb is peeking out just a little bit. So what's really helpful with getting more control when it comes to your fretting hand is not locking the thumb in one position and just moving your hand like this basically. It's really helpful when the thumb is following the fingers a little bit. And there's one phrase that I would personally focus on because it sounds like a great exercise actually. I'd say the phrase is 80% there already, and that's great for such a tricky phrase. What would help a lot is following the fingers with the thumb and really focusing on the picking pattern, because I think I can see 2 downstrokes in a row at the end. But aside from all the nerdy details, I love the harmonization. Looks and sounds really cool. Then we have one from Derek Hatling. Ooh, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Nice, super classic song. Definitely a great choice to study this one. What I really like with this clip is that you can see that the picking hand is quite relaxed, but there's still a lot of punch to the picking motion. You can hear the nice attack. When it comes to picking, one thing that has personally helped me a lot is closing my hand. I actually used to play with a technique quite similar to this, where my fingers were also looking like that. And the reason why I switched to closing my fingers is they simply stopped flopping around like this. You can feel much less weight and resistance. It really helped me with drastically reducing the string noise. Yeah, and now with the lead phrases, that also sounds really cool. One thing that I can see when it comes to the fretting hand technique that also helped me a lot is actually curling my fingers when they hit the fretboard. When your fingers are nicely curled like this, you gain much more control immediately and they also stay closer to the fretboard. But the picking is really cool. That's definitely what I like most about this video, aside from the classic song choice, of course. Then we have one from Alex. Oh, so this is a Swola contribution. Nice. I have to immediately say I love the sound of this one. I love that we have some actual bass right here, and I really like the clear and transparent guitar sound. Awesome. Some really cool melodies and ideas in that short solo. I think I can also hear some kind of pitch shifting or octaver here with the sound. Very interesting. The one thing you can see right away that I think would help a lot is that this time the thumb is not just peeking out from behind the fretboard. I think it's actually kind of cradling the guitar neck like this. And just from my personal experience, that's something I absolutely can't recommend. For bending and vibrato, it's perfectly fine if the thumb is sticking out a bit, just to get some more expressive sounds. As you know, for anything more technical, I would definitely advise you to put your thumb behind the neck in the area around your middle finger. But if your thumb isn't supporting your fingers at all when you're playing, you won't really be able to control what you're playing at all. So I think making that small adjustment would really help you out. And I think right here the thumb is actually moving into a really great position. But what we definitely have here are some awesome melodic ideas, some interesting arpeggio stuff with the second melody, a great sound and tons of potential. So I think that one small fix could help out a lot. Then we have one from Balázs. Oh, and I think it's an original song we have right here. Bass is coming in as well. And I think, yeah. Nice. So with this one, I really love the building tension in the beginning. You're adding more and more elements. One thing that I already mentioned in the VIP Facebook group that doesn't have that much to do with the music or the playing, that I love to see how organized these projects are, especially when you compare them to mine. Great work. Concerning the sound and the guitar playing, what I really like is that there's an interesting flavor with the lead part, because the rhythm guitars are mostly kept simple, so there's kind of exotic and a bit oriental vibe that shines through with the lead guitar part. isn't actually that present with the rhythm guitars. That's something I always really like, when you have a simple structure that's groovy and that just sounds good, but you add a completely different atmosphere with just one guitar part, not with thousands of harmonies and all that. When it comes to the whole structure, I'm personally not sure if it even needs those additional measures after your melody. I personally love old school progressive sounds, but I feel like nowadays people aren't that patient anymore with build-ups and all of that. So if you feel like you're not sure how you can raise the tension with a couple of repetitions of that lead part, I can definitely manage it going into the riff right away after that part. But it's your song and your decision. To me this sounds really, really cool, and I can't wait to hear the finished product. Oh, then we have Luca Bogren Digital Riff Contrast entry. That was really, really, really cool. It's one of my favorite things ever, to have those quick dissonant moments that are not just shockingly dissonant. Nice. And that little isolated phrase is particularly cool. Nice chords as well. Clamping. Awesome lead melody. That dissonance once again. Ah, nice. That was really, really cool. I loved that one. So first of all, I love the clear and sparkly tone right here. You can hear all the details nicely. There's barely any distortion, and I think that kind of modern sound is really cool when you have all of those details in your playing. So I love the tone, I love the ideas. You can clearly see that you spent a lot of time just working on all of those different licks and melodies in there. And for me, this is a great showcase of all those newer techniques. What you play here is really, really musical. The selective picking makes sense because there's a melody and rhythm to it. So my only feedback right here is, and my big problem with what you did, is that it's not long enough, and I hope that you turn this into a song, Luca. It's really, really great. Then we have Marcus Garcia. Some pick tapping right away. Nice fusion sound. Really cool phrase. That was a great one. That's a keeper. I would transcribe that immediately if I were you. So there are some really, really good ideas in there, especially for an improvised take. Improvisation is really hard, and we should all work on that some more. From what I can personally hear, what would really, really tie all of this together is working on timing and rhythm to really nail some of these phrases. I know that it's extremely hard to do that, especially when you're coming up with stuff on the fly, but especially with improvisation, a lot of great fusion players all agree that timing is everything. I posted some really cool and helpful timing exercises last week in the previous episode. So I think working on that for 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes in the daily practice routine would elevate this to a completely different level, because the foundation is so great already. And aside from the techniques, what I would work on a little bit more is vibrato as well, because right now there don't seem to be a lot of different levels of vibrato. With improvisation in the practice routine, it's really cool to explore different levels of that. Super smooth, simple vibrato. But I definitely love a lot of these licks in there. Awesome fusion shredding. By the way, if you, the awesome person that's watching this video, want to be in the next video that I make on the channel, so that a lot of people get to see and hear your guitar playing, so that you get some really helpful input and feedback, so that you don't feel stuck with your guitar playing, even if you work really, really hard. Adjusting minor details with your technique that you might not be able to see right now will get you much better results right away. You can send in your clips for analysis as well if you're a VIP or Platinum member on Patreon. This is a video format I'm doing every single month on this channel, so if you're not part of the world's biggest guitar community on Patreon yet, what are you waiting for? Join us today with the link in the description or in the first comment down below. Aside from getting featured on this channel, you also get access to over 20 guitar courses right away, 20 full courses that I made for my Patreon community, like my alternate picking masterclass, multiple awesome theory courses. I have a course on sweep picking, legato tapping, any technique imaginable over there. So if you're serious about improving your guitar skills and you're not just browsing YouTube for fun, join us today with the link in the description or in the first comment down below. It's patreon.com/burn. Become part of the world's biggest and best guitar community today. Get access to all the exercises and courses you need in one place. I'm waiting for you over there. For now, let's see what everyone else sent in. Next is Michelle. Really nice bends. I'm sorry that I have to interrupt it right away, but nowadays you kind of rarely hear some nicely intonated white bends and vibrato. That was really, really great right away. Some nice chromatic phrasing in there as well. Nice! I love the phrasing in this one from the occasional chromaticism. I never really had a feeling of, okay, I know where this guitar solo is going with the next phrase. The sound is also great, just slightly distorted, super nice fusion tone. The one topic that's obviously always up for debate is the thumb position. I think with really expressive playing like this, so with a lot of vibrato and bending, it's perfectly fine to have it looking over the fretboard. For some of these phrases, it might have been great to get a bit of support from your thumb. Once again, the only thing I clearly wouldn't recommend is having this area of your fretting hand always kind of cradling the neck like this, not just for vibrato and all of that. But aside from this, this is a clip that I really enjoy. Awesome sound and playing. Thanks so much for that. What? Awesome, really cool picking style. But what I like even more is the fretting hand, because check out how controlled it is, how close the fingers are to the fretboard. You pretty much always have that nice curl that you need for maximum control. So I think with the fretting hand, you're definitely there already. The picking is kind of interesting because you have a lot of the thumb sticking out like this. That's a matter of style, choice and preference, of course. But for me, it's closer to a grip like this. That's what feels a little bit more controlled and relaxed to me compared to having the thumb all the way right there and kind of stiff. So if you feel like there's a lot of picking attack and you can't really control the pick that well, it might be because you're pressing really hard with a stiff thumb on the pick like this, instead of having it really relaxed like that. One thing that I can hear that I'm also definitely guilty of is that you're often playing ahead of the click, because I think your brain is telling you this is a really fast part, the picking is super hard, don't play it too slow. And then you end up playing it a little bit ahead of the click always. You can clearly hear a repeating pattern right here that's kind of easy to identify. So by always focusing on the first note of this pattern and making sure that it falls directly on the click, the rest of the notes fall into place as well. Nice! That one was pretty much almost perfect, except for the ending. That seems to be the trickiest part, maybe with the string transitions. I didn't play this one so far. But the start is really great, and you can hear that the timing, for some reason, is easier for you the faster it gets. So this part up until here with this repeating pattern is really great. That sounds awesome. I think it's just that last part that's causing you some problems. So maybe it's a good idea to isolate that one for the practice session and to think about what's causing the problem right here. Most of the time it's the picking pattern where you have to awkwardly switch between two different strings. Sometimes it's just a matter of practice. Other times maybe there's a different picking approach that could help, or a different fingering so that the string transitions change a bit. But I think you're on a great way. That's really tricky, and you're playing super fast and controlled. Really awesome job. Matt Mason. Nice! What I like immediately right here is the classical position. When I'm recording my most difficult stuff, this is also what I find myself going to, because you get a good amount of reach out of your hand. It kind of automatically falls into a good technical position. And what I also really like is that really relaxed wrist picking motion. That looks really good. In fact, also the fretting hand looks pretty great. Nice pinch harmonic. Yeah. Looks really good to me. How you're supporting your fingers. The one thing that you can hear in the clip is that there is some string noise here and there. It's not that bad, but that's not a huge problem, of course, because both your hands look really great. In the next practice routine, try to find where it's coming from. If it's a fretting hand issue, if you're accidentally touching some strings here and there. Once you find what's actually causing the string noise, it will be really easy to get rid of it. And then I think everything's basically in place. This is really promising, and I'm looking forward to seeing some future clips. Adam Alternus. Nice picking. Nice to hear some pretty heavy metal stuff here. Once again, what I really like is the relaxed picking motion, although this is really fast. Definitely not struggling with the tremolo picking speed right here. One thing you can see here is that you're anchoring underneath the pickup with your pinky finger, something that I personally can recommend. Of course, I can always only speak about what works for me and what helped me the most with getting where I am today. From what I can see right here, in your case, the pinky isn't really pushing against the guitar body to give some support. So I think it doesn't really do that much for the control or speed. So maybe with the next practice sessions, you could just try closing your hand a little bit more while still having the wrist on the bridge, of course, to feel the connection to the instrument and to have that control. But I think just anchoring with the wrist and not with additional fingers on the guitar body is what would really help in this case. Then we have Miles McDonald saying, roast me burnt. I don't think there will be anything to roast right here. We have some Patreon workouts. Nice. Awesome. Legato as well. Sweep picking, of course. Awesome. Yeah, it's What do you want me to roast with these clips? What I really like is the picking hand. That one looks great, especially that first exercise. So much harder than it looks just playing those 2 strokes for every string. Also when we go to the sweep picking, it's just super relaxed, gliding across the strings. The alternate picking, it's a nice wrist motion. With the faster picking, you can see that there's a little bit more arm movement, or at least pushing with the arm. This is something that I also do, especially when it gets crazy fast. I can't just rely on my wrist anymore. As long as you don't feel like the wrist or arm are getting really stiff, that's perfectly fine in my personal opinion. But honestly, you're sounding and playing super awesome, and I'm happy to hear some Patreon workouts on here. I love your clips on Instagram as well. I still remember that Seance cover, so I really really hope I will see more of this really awesome play. Marcus posted a lot of clips. I'm sorry to say there's only a 1 clip limit. Now let's go to Danielle. So whenever you guys and girls are posting video links, please make sure that they're unlisted or public. If they're private, I sadly can't watch them. Davins Michael. Ooh, Steve Vai. I didn't know that Steve Vai has Christmas songs. Ooh, that nice Steve Vai vibrato. Nice. So this is something you rarely see, because Steve has a very kind of personal style to string bending and vibrato, where there's a lot of movement almost in a circular way. What I really like is that the bendings are nicely intonated right here, especially with those smaller bendings. It's very hard not to go slightly over the pitch, but with all of those details, with the small whammy bar dives and the little bends and vibrato, this is actually much harder to do than it might look. One thing technique-wise is that sometimes the picking hand fingers are touching and anchoring the guitar body a little bit. Other times, right now, they're not. So if you feel like this is something that gets you kind of inconsistent results here and there, you can explore that, of course. Also with the thumb placement. So for this kind of video, the only thing I can say here, I love the sound. I love all of the small details, the vibrato, the bending, the whammy bar stuff. Mark, another Swola entry. Would love to learn how to elevate his own original work. So that's really cool for me, because that's my biggest passion. So it's great for me to see that this is your goal as well, Mark. Nice. Very cool. So what I like right away is that there's a whole color theme to the entire video. So I feel like you're gonna do very well when it comes to this aspect, also with the kind of comic style effect. When it comes to the song itself, I personally also go for shorter songs. From this one I get a very strong, almost kind of hypnotizing sound, because you have those accents with the bass, kind of a threatening, menacing riff that moves between the semitones rhythmically. There are already a lot of different elements that I enjoy, and where I think like, oh, okay, some work went into that and you actually thought about how to make this interesting. What I also really like is the tension that it creates. Very powerful drums with double bass. I think that's actually my favorite part of this song. That small break of the rhythm guitar is really intense with the double bass stuff. Overall, the only thing I can really say right here, I would be interested to hearing a longer version of this one. I think if it would have kind of a big chorus or big hook as well, I think this would be a really great song. I hope we will hear it someday. Alright my friends, those were all the community videos for this month. Thanks so much to everybody who sent in a video. If you want me to talk about your video on this channel next month, just sign up today with the link in the description or in the first comment on patreon.com/burn. Pick the VIP or Platinum membership, and that way you will be part of the next community video, and you will get access to over 20 guitar courses and much more really awesome guitar workouts and lessons on patreon.com/burn. I'll see you next time. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.